Greetings, family. My name is Tammy Stewart, and I am the proud principal of Claymont Elementary. Thank you so much for joining us. You're going to learn today a little bit about our Spanish Immersion program. We are a K through fifth grade elementary school with over 800 students. Some of the programs that we have in our school, of course, our Spanish Immersion program, which you're here to learn more about, our Gifted and Talented program, which is in our fourth and fifth grade, and our BSAT program, which is our Brandywine Specialized Autism program. Our school hours are from 8:30 to 3:30 p.m. Our mascot is the cougar, and our colors are purple and gold. So, how did Delaware become an immersion state, right? Pretty much. So, the Governor's World Language Expansion Initiative started in 2011. It was a 10-year, it is a 10-year initiative looking for 20 immersion programs and about 10,000 students. So, that's how immersion came to Delaware. It came to Delaware with the support of former Governor Jack Markell, who understood that students would be able to compete in a global society or economy if they were able to speak multiple languages. So hence is how immersion came to Delaware. So the way that immersion operates in the Brandywine School District, Claymont Elementary, 50% of their day is spent in English and 50% of their day is spent in Spanish. Our students receive Spanish immersion language arts, math, and science. And we chose math and science because those are very concrete languages. Then next students will go to middle school, and the middle school that our students will be attending is Tally Middle School, where they spend about 30% of their day in immersion language arts and social studies. Then when they get to high school, they spend about 15% of the day, and they can take AP Spanish immersion or have dual credit in the immersion language. So we are super excited about the possibilities for our students. So how did it start in Delaware? So in 2012, 2013, it started off in 3 districts in 3 schools, grades kindergarten, about 245 students and about 5 teachers. And it has grown tremendously since that time with in 2019, 2020, 12 districts, 43 schools, and grades K through 7th grade, about 7,500 students and 146 teachers are all a part of the immersion program in Delaware. So the Delaware Immersion Program looks like this. It's a world language immersion program. And if you've done research, there are different models, but this is the model we've chosen, where 50% of instruction happens in both languages. So English and Spanish, in Claymont's case, in our sister schools. 2 teacher model, so different teacher for each language. So for the most part, at each grade level, we have an English teacher and a Spanish teacher. It coexists with our traditional instruction. So here at Claymont, we ensure that our students are using the same curriculum in English and in Spanish. We also have a 2-way student population. So we have a balance of native and English speakers. We understand that having that balance as much as possible helps our students grow. They all have their time to shine and share their experiences. So again, the way that it works, the model works is, as I stated, half the day is in English, half the day is in Spanish. In other districts, they've chosen Chinese language, but we chose Spanish. So English, language arts, and social studies are taught in English. And then we have a period called the content transfer and academic language development. This is where the English teachers work on very targeted goals with our students to ensure that they're understanding the language. So a lot of the time is spent working on math concepts to make sure that students are able to transfer those concepts from English into Spanish. And then, as I stated earlier, the other part of their day is spent in Spanish language arts, science, and math. So what might a typical day look like at Claymont Elementary? Now, this isn't our exact schedule because we start at 8:30. We allow students in the building at 8:35. So it's a typical day, but what I really wanted to show you was students arrive and then they may start their day in the English setting, where they're doing English language arts, some content transfers, and then may switch class and do math, for the remainder of the day, and language arts and science. We use what's called a roller coaster model. Well, students will begin their day in English, they might end in Spanish. And then the next day they'll begin their day in Spanish and end in English. So that's why it's called the roller coaster model. By using this model, it allows the teacher from the previous day to finish up any concepts or lessons to make sure students understand what was taught to them. Now, I will say that when the department created the schedule, they did not include recess and lunch, so you will see that in there. So sometimes the timing may be a little off from what is recommended by the state of Delaware, but that's just because we understand the importance of students eating and having time to socialize with their friends. So part of what makes this program so special is that the immersion language teacher and the English language teacher plan closely together. And that's in order to support the whole child. So the English teacher knows what's happening in Spanish, and the Spanish teacher knows what's happening in English. The curriculum then can be integrated across two of the classrooms so that students are learning and being supported throughout the day. So what are the building blocks of immersion? We're going to talk about academic achievement, bilingualism and biliteracy, cultural competency. So when we talk about academic achievement, we want you to know that the academic content is taught through the language. So students are learning the language through the academic content. They're not learning it in isolation. And we found that and research has found that makes more sense to students, right? The content is divided between the two languages, as we stated, is English and Spanish, with two teachers, one per language. And the concept learned in one language is transferred to the other. And we talked a little bit about that content transfer period. That's what we're referring to. We also know that reading builds concept knowledge. So the more kids read, the better that they have that background knowledge to be able to connect. When we talk about bilingualism and biliteracy, we look at language development, and language develops in two ways. It's through oral and written language. So it's kind of like words come in and then go out. So that illustration is a great illustration of what happens to kids. They understand dog and cat in English or Spanish, and then they're able to say it in Spanish or English. So we know that that's how language develops. We also know that learning language takes time. So oftentimes in our earlier grades, parents would say, well, my child's not speaking fluently. And they're not going to be probably until they are comfortable with the language. So think about language development. It kind of happens like this. If you think about a parrot learns words and phrases, right? They repeat. There's a lot of repetition. There's a lot of pictures involved. And when our kids are learning, so they'll learn their colors, their numbers, their shapes in their earlier grades. Then we go into what's called survivor phase, where students are able to put together sentences. So if you think about as your child is growing up and they first start learning different items or colors or names of things, it takes them a while. They're repeating after you. They're repeating phrases until those phrases make sense. And then they take them and they put them into sentences. Now, they're not the most elaborate sentence, but they do get across the point that they're trying to make. And then finally, we get into the storyteller phase where our students are talking in whole paragraphs, so multiple sentences. So please know that we know that kids are not going to come home and just start speaking automatically, but over time they will. And here's a quote: students with two well-developed languages are more sensitive to communication. Through exposure to cultural differences, they may become more respectful of differences between people and their culture. And isn't that what we want? We want our students to be exposed to different cultures and to be more sensitive. And that's part of our drive here at Claymont Elementary. We call ourselves Claymont Cougars, home of Cougar kindness, because we want students to be kind to each other. And we know that that kindness happens between creating relationships and understanding people's cultures and being respectful of everyone. So you may say, well, what are the benefits? Why should I put my child in Spanish immersion? Some of the benefits include an economic advantage. There's marketable language skills. Your child will be able to come out of high school and know a full language. We know that there's academic achievement. We see a difference. The achievement gap closes among our minority students, and our students tend to score higher or higher or as high as than monolingual peers. So on average, our kids are scoring a little bit higher. We see cognitive benefits such as increased flexibility and focus and superior problem solving skills. And our data has shown us that this comes about because kids have to learn to persevere. They're in a classroom and they may not know English or Spanish well, but they're learning it. So they have to use their context clues. They have to concentrate and focus and work really hard to figure out what's happening. What that does, in fact, is that I talked about perseverance, but when they're encounter something difficult academically, they're able to push through it because they've learned these skills early on. So parent support, you may say, well, what do you need from me? First, we need long-term participation, a commitment to that. This is K-5. We need you to hang in there with us. There are going to be some hard days, just in general, right? But then when you add a language that you may or may not know, you may feel like, well, I'm not sure this is good for a fit for my child. We ask you to hang in there with us. We've seen it before. Our kids have persevered. Our parents have persevered. So we ask that you hang in there with us so that your child can benefit from learning this language. So don't give up on us in kindergarten through 5th grade. Talk to the teachers, talk to my admin team, talk to me. We will figure out a plan to support you and your child. The next thing we ask you to do is to learn about immersion. Attend events so that you can know exactly what's happening to be able to support your child. Be supportive and enthusiastic. Even on those days where it is a struggle, we need you to rally up your child, be your child's cheerleader. Let them know that they've gotten this. And then communicate again with our teachers and say, hey, I feel like they're struggling in this area. What can we do to help? So one of the other things you can help us by supporting us is help develop your child's first language. Read, read, read. Remember we talked about previously that builds background knowledge. That's exactly what we need kids to do. So if you don't speak Spanish, it doesn't have to be in Spanish, right? If you speak Spanish, then read in Spanish. We want to encourage our kids to read. We also want you to encourage them to write. With the times that we live in, kids are doing less writing. So have them write down their thoughts and ideas. Have them in the younger grades help write your grocery list or the things that you need to do. Those are pretty much some of the things we're asking, along with playing word games. All of those help our kids to think through challenges, help them learn new words. So we give examples such as Scrabble, password, all of those. And then engage in conversation about school concepts. Ask your child what happened today and don't take nothing, right? Because sometimes that's the answer. Maybe say, well, what did you learn that was new? Or what was fun today? What was interesting? What's one word that you learned? Teach me Spanish and or English, right? We want to encourage our kids to tell us about their day and the concepts that they've learned. Also, look for ways to use Spanish outside of the classroom. So books and videos. Also, look for community events. It's a great way to expose our students to different cultures, to have them kind of hear the language used outside of school, if not. And then there are also Spanish immersion summer camps that if you're interested in those, it would be a great experience for our students. So as always, if you ever have any questions about anything that I've gone over for Spanish immersion, I encourage you to reach out to me. Again, I am Tamara Stewart, and my email address is actually tamara.grimestewart@bsd.k12.de.us. You can find me on our website. Also, feel free to reach out to the Director of Elementary Education, Ms. Jones Davis. She'll be able to provide information, or probably say, how about you reach out to Claymont? We are excited that you took the time to view this video. We hope that you will enroll your child in our Spanish immersion program. As always, thank you so much. Have a great day.